Hi everyone, welcome. We're in my VermiBag Mini today, giving these little guys a feeding. It's been 12 days since they received a nice portion of stuff like strawberry and watermelon and a couple other things that probably won't show any signs of leftovers. I think there was lettuce in there. Something that definitely shows leftovers though is a pumpkin stem. If you were to feed your worms a pumpkin stem, and as you're gonna see, the pumpkin stem is going to be pretty far along, considering it's been in service now, getting worked on in the worm bins for 884 days. That's in excess of the amount of time that this system's even been in service, because the pumpkin stem came with the worms that they'd already been working on in their previous home and continued here. When I fed last time, 12 days ago, I had overlooked the inclusion of my pulverized eggshell grit, so we decided to sprinkle it out here on the top surface. I think I see some signs of it even here in places. I didn't know what to expect. I figured maybe the worms would come by and snatch all that stuff up, because that stuff's generally pretty popular. But I think there was quite a bit more than we're seeing here, so I would assume that it got swept up in large part. So, like I said, I don't think we're going to see leftovers of the last feeding, but we can excavate the feeding zone in such a way that we can try to see what we see. I mean, if we fed strawberries 12 days ago, we might find the leaves of some strawberries. And if it's going to be something like that we're looking for, it's going to be tough to find. Should be pretty easy to find the pumpkin stem, though. Considering how far along it is at this point, it's amazing that it's still got some good size to it and is clearly recognizable as a pumpkin stem. But where the heck is it? How far did we put it? Alright, man, I didn't think we would have sunken it that deep down into the hole, or into the feeding zone. This one little hole right smack in the middle of the underside of the pumpkin stem always makes me curious, because I always see like the little tail of a worm over there. If I touch it, the worm just retreats into that little tiny hole. So it does seem that this thing's got little cavities in it. I don't want to start pressing on it or, hitting it with too much pressure and have the thing break here, so we're going to just leave it be. Most things I'm more than happy to help along by trying to snap them and break them and see what I could do about helping along the breakdown process. But with certain things like that, I just prefer to let nature take its course, especially considering how much time has passed since it started. Oh, look at that. Me pressing the the seed. This is a mango seed. Well, the seed's really inside this husk. And it seems like this has finally opened up. I believe last time we were still trying to see if we can pry the thing open, and it seems that over the past few days, it's managed to open up enough that worms have already started slithering in there to snack on the delicious inside. There's two of them. I wonder how this one's doing. I wonder if this one's managed to open up yet. Perhaps not. Oh, no, this one's already been compromised as well. Now I'm starting to wonder, did I help with this during the last check-in, or did this just happen suddenly to both since then? Either way, I'm happy to see it. It's good to see. And they'll nibble out that seed that's inside the husk of the mango seed, and the husk will remain. It'll take forever to break down. Alright, now we're starting to reach little pockets of hardly utilized leafy matter, which I'm just proceeding to blend in. So I've got some fresh bedding materials with which we can apply today's feeding, which is just a mishmash of different stuff in here. You see a tomato, a banana peel, the peels of some maybe zucchini, and the cores of some peppers, and the pepper seeds I put aside and grind them up into my worm chow. And there's this day's worth of coffee here as well, so that means we're going to have ourselves a nice feeding zone indicator to mark where we fed once we finish. So I'm grabbing a nice big handful of my prepared bedding here today. Dropping it in there, and man, that is a generous amount, isn't it? Well, I don't think the worms are going to object to that. And then back in can come our long-term items. Some items being more long-term than others. This is also a pumpkin stem, but it must have come in much later in the game, and I've not really been interested in tracking down its origins or its figuring out its age or anything like that. Every now and then I give it a little press to see if it'll give, but it never does. So we'll just give it more time. All right, got ourselves a nice feeding zone set up. Hopefully it's enough space to fit all this. Yeah, I think it'll be a-okay. All these things, once they start thawing out, are going to probably spill moisture. Some things more than others. I could see a tomato spilling some moisture, a banana peel, maybe not so much. But I would think any vegetable matter definitely gets a head start on being able to do that. And by that I just mean expel its moisture content by having been frozen and then thawed. Ooh, all right. Let's give them some lovely grit, which I don't know if by being out on the surface appealed to the worms and possibly resulted in them consuming some of the leafy matter we spread out on top, because we did actually coat the top surface of this system quite thoroughly with leafy matter, of which some remained, but I, in a way, expected to see more leftovers of that. So I do wonder if the worms took full advantage of that nice top coating of leaves and came by to feast on some of it. Well, I like to think that that's what happened here. And I think that pretty much brings us to the end of this check-in. You know, a lot of times we'll go around the perimeter and excavate the whole outer environment just to see how things look. And that used to be something I felt like I couldn't do without. I had to do it because it had seemed for so long that moisture levels in here were way too low. I always felt like I even had to dampen that stuff as I went around inspecting it because I always found it to be too dry. But more recently, the system's been holding on to its moisture so nice, mainly because of this plastic wrap that I put on the whole thing on the outside. And this plastic cover on top also helps a great deal. So the system does manage somehow to retain a good bit of its moisture content. Very little, at least I like to think very little, is lost to evaporation. I'm sure some sneaks out, but the system's been so good in terms of its moisture levels. So that's it for our check-in with the VermiBag Mini. The red wigglers in here now, man, 786 days. 2 weeks from today is when they hit 800 days in service. A nice round number. And me being Mr. Milestones, love recognizing those milestone accomplishments. We'll probably be back in here 2 weeks from today. And I think that feeding we gave them is probably enough to last till then. Especially those banana peels, those take a little longer sometimes. The stems definitely take a little longer. So that's it for the check-in, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye now.